Hey everyone, welcome back to Shade Review. In today's video, we are taking a look at a pair of sunglasses from Garrett Leight that are actually made in the USA. But first, I'd like today's video sponsor, our own website, shadereviewstore.com, the absolute best place to buy designer sunglasses, up to 80% off the original MSRP. Again, our website there is shadereviewstore.com. Check it out. Now, if you've already watched my previous Garrett Leight videos, you know that I do like the frames and I do like the California inspiration. I like a lot of the styling of them, but I did not like the price tag of around $400 for a pair of sunglasses that are made in China. The value prospect there just was not quite there. Now they do have an ultra luxury lineup called Mr. Light. Those frames are made in Japan with titanium typically and high quality Japanese acetate as well. And those frames are going to be more towards like the $500-600 range, and I really do like those for the money. I just don't like paying $400 for a pair of Chinese-made frames. I thought the price tag was just a little too expensive. But with this pair of frames, this is from their new California Editions collection, and these frames are handcrafted in California. So they say California Editions, handcrafted in California there, and the build quality of these is really good, just as good, if not a little bit better than the Chinese-made Garrett Leight frames. These have 3-barrel hinges, but they definitely are on the smaller side. They still do feel really good when opening them up and when closing them. They do have a metal stem that runs all the way through them, and then the hinge is also seated to the front metal accent here, which is going to add a lot of structural support to the frames, which is the correct way to make an acetate pair of frames, so they're not skimping as far as that goes. And the polishing here looks really, really nice as well. And if we take a look at the inner left temple of frames, we can see a Made in California special badge there. And then here in the inner left temple, we can see the sizing information. And these frames are also going to come in at only $400. So these Made in California sunglasses are $400, or a Chinese-made pair of frames are also $400. And I think the fact that they're able to make these frames for under $400 in California just does go to prove how overpriced their Chinese-made frames are. For those of you who are not familiar with the optical industry, a lot of the expense when it comes to producing a pair of sunglasses comes into the actual labor rates of the country that you are working in. So Italian's gonna kind of be the middle, American's gonna be typically kind of the highest, along with Japanese, those labor rates are extremely high. And then China, Indian, and Brazil are typically towards the lower end of the actual cost to manufacture a pair of sunglasses due to regulations, labor rates, and a ton of other reasons. Now, when it comes to this pair of frames in particular, these again are handmade in California. And I did a quick little Google search, and Google tells me that the average labor cost in California is going to be 15+ times more expensive than the average labor costs for China, which is not too surprising because again, California is going to be one of the most expensive probably in the world, and then China is going to be typically kind of towards the bottom there. And the cost here is not just the labor rates alone, it's the ease of doing business, it's the cost of energy, electricity, lack of regulations, or how much regulations are. There's a ton that goes into producing any pair of item anywhere. And again, China and India right now are kind of the two hotbeds of the most affordable place to do business. And because of that, I personally feel as a buyer that should be reflected in the price tag. If it costs significantly less to make something in China, I'd like to see that reflected on the price that I'm paying. And I'm trying to say this from a neutral standpoint here. I'm not valuing American jobs over Chinese jobs in this comparison. I just want to kind of explain the price difference here that there is going to be felt regardless. There is a reason why companies make their sunglasses in China, and it's not because the quality is better than Japan. It is definitely almost never better than Japan. It is just significantly cheaper to make frames in China than it is in Japan. So with all that being said, and if they're able to produce these frames, handcraft them in California for under $400, how much cheaper could they afford to sell their Chinese-made frames for? I've run some really rough calculations, and I think that price should be way closer to around $200 mark. So that's why I really don't like the value proposition of Garrett Leight's frames that are made in China for $400. It seems like you are vastly overpaying, and all that extra money that you're vastly overpaying is just going to straight up profit for Garrett Leight. And I personally don't want to be forking a ton of my money over to a company if there's other options for way cheaper. There are a ton of other options that are way cheaper, especially for Chinese-made sunglasses. Now, when it comes to the build quality of these versus the Chinese ones, again, the build quality is very, very similar. I really do like the build quality of these, and their Chinese-made build quality is really good as well. So they're the same quality, just one costs them way less to make than the other. That's what I'm, again, trying to drive here. But I really, really do like these frames. I think they look really good. They come in 3 different colorways. This has the Marigold CR39 lenses with the rear anti-reflective material, which is really nice. Now, personally, I would love to see an all-glass lens in a pair of these frames that are handcrafted in California. That would be super kind of retro, 1970s style optical work right there if they did have the all-glass lenses. But these frames with the lenses come in at 41 grams, so very, very heavy. So I definitely understand why they decided to not go with all-glass lenses for this pair of frames. And also when it comes to an all-glass lens, you are very, very limited to the actual tint or lens color. These with the Marigold looks really, really good in the orange acetate frames. And as I film this video, there just simply is not a plant that is capable or tooled up to make a lens color that's all glass like this. There just isn't a lens facility, I don't believe, in the world that can make a lens color quite like this Marigold one. Obviously, you could go kind of for like a B15 lens, and that would be close, but not quite the exact same. So the weight savings and the fact that they have a lot of ability to customize the tint of a CR39 lens, it makes a ton of sense why they would put this lens in this frame. Now, overall, I think it's a really cool idea. I really do like the California Editions collection. If I'm paying $400 for a pair of sunglasses from a California optical company that are actually handcrafted in California, that feels a much better value than something that has a little made in China sticker on it. And it legitimately is. You're also supporting American jobs, and if that's important to you because you live in America and you personally like supporting your local economy, then that is really, really cool as well. Now, for those of you who don't live in America and don't want to support American jobs, that makes sense as well. But for me personally, it is really cool to be supporting California jobs and California labor. Giving people an ability to make a living by making sunglasses is really, really awesome. I personally really do like that as well. And if I ever do create my own optical company, I would love to make it in America. Now, I understand it is extremely, extremely hard with a ton of red tape, high energy costs, high cost in general to make anything in America. So I understand why a lot of companies don't do it. It's just that barrier is really, really high. I've done some research and yeah, it's not easy. But overall, I'm very happy that they decided to make this collection. And the only thing that I think is bad for the company is it kind of confuses the line between the Chinese-made ones and the California-made ones. If I'm buying them, I'm going to buy the California-made ones every single day, but they are limiting them to small batch collections, it appears. So definitely get these while you still can if you want a handcrafted pair of sunglasses that are handcrafted, of course, in California here. But overall, this is definitely a high-end pair of frames, and I think the $400 price is definitely justified here. There aren't any too crazy thrills in these. These are, again, are not a Mr. Leight pair of frames. They're just a classic acetate frame with a CR39 lens, and they happen to be handcrafted in California. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give me a big thumbs up down below, and of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and then you'll be notified every single time I upload a brand new video just like this one to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.